Morning, Stephen.
Morning.
First, I was going to ask, do you have any injury news going into this one? Anyone ruled out that you can tell us about? And I was going to ask that the win at Celtic Park last season was the first time Rangers had won there in almost a decade. Do you sense an added belief and confidence going into this one within the squad?
Well, I'll answer the first part of your question first. I think we're still in the process of assessing a few of the international players that have arrived yesterday afternoon or evening, which is pretty late. So in terms of a full injury update, I won't be able to provide that. The injuries that were with us before, Joe Aribo's really close now. Kemar Roof's really close. I think this game might come a bit too soon. But they were back in full training as of yesterday, and they'll train with the group this morning. I think everyone else is pretty much fine. As I say, we're still assessing a few of the international lads, which we'll do this morning. But nothing's popped out or came up that's extreme where someone could miss tomorrow's game. So we've near enough pretty much got a clean bill of health besides Nikola Katic, which is fantastic. In terms of the game tomorrow, it's going to be a tough game. As you say, it was the first time we managed to get a win there in a very long time, which basically lets everyone know how difficult the task is and has been for many years going to Celtic Park. They're a good team, they're a strong team, a successful team, but we went there last year with a game plan and we performed extremely well, and the players went there with confidence, belief, and got the job done. And we're hoping the players can go and produce a similar type of performance.
Alison Conroy, please.
Stephen, obviously there's always so much focus on this game, and there's been a lot of chat this week about where fans are going to watch the game, what they're going to do. Obviously there's so much advice around at the moment. What would you say to fans that are maybe thinking of going somewhere or gathering with friends to watch this?
The priority here is fan safety, and I urge them to stay at home and stay safe and keep the families safe and do the right thing. But I certainly share the frustration because these people have watched probably the last 100, 200 Old Firm games, so it's a very difficult instruction to take when you're desperate to watch your team that you love.
Gabriel, go ahead please.
Stephen, it's been a very strong start to the season for yourselves, top of the league of course. How confident are you going into this one compared to previous Old Firms? And how much do you think the lack of fans at Celtic Park can be an advantage for you tomorrow?
Well, we're not really focused on there not being any fans there. We're focused on our game plan. We've still got a session to do this morning to get some information into the players. As you say, it's been a very unique preparation going into an Old Firm. Not much time on the training pitch and players arriving late. We want the players to go to Celtic Park with belief and confidence, but we certainly won't be going there overconfident just on the back of last year. We know it's going to be a very tough challenge, and we need to find a real top level performance if we've got any hopes of taking the 3 points from there.
Charles Patterson, please.
Morning, Stephen.
Morning.
Obviously, Celtic have been hit by COVID issues ahead of this game. There have been a lot of COVID issues surrounding international teams in the last couple of weeks. Your team has kind of got away with it thus far, but we don't know what will happen in the next international break. How do you feel about the prospect of international football at the moment in terms of how it affects players and the safety of players within bubbles?
Look, it's very challenging for every club, and there's been a lot of clubs, not just in this league but around Europe, that have had their own challenges from COVID and the virus. When your players leave your bubble, you lose control of them. It's as simple as that, and you're hoping that the national teams take over that responsibility and keep them safe. But a lot of clubs are facing different challenges at the moment. Celtic obviously of late, but it's pretty similar to the challenges that we've faced for the last month. Not having Joe Aribo, not having Kemar Roof, missing Ryan Jack for 3-4 weeks. These things happen when you're managing squads of players, and that's the reason why we try and build squads, so you can try and cope in these situations. We've coped extremely well, missing 3 of our very important players, arguably 3 starters. So all the managers, not just myself, not just Neil, are faced with different challenges week to week during the season. You have to cope and get on with it.
Just as a follow-up to that, are you quite comfortable with international football continuing as long as we're in this structure and this COVID world?
Well, look, assuming that players can be safe and people can be safe, I want international to continue. Of course I do. I remember sitting in the house and there was no football on at all. And I was bored out of my mind. So I think we're in a privileged position that domestically things can continue. Even though we are facing these challenges, we know it's not perfect. But, you know, we 2 weeks ago we got a fantastic highlight qualifying against Galatasaray. So I can't sit here now and say European football and international football should be cancelled because it might suit me Rangers team here domestically. It is what it is. We have to manage the situation and move forward and try and keep all the players as safe as we can.
Morning, Stephen. Ali Foy from the Video Football Show here. Could we see a debut for Zungu, and how is he getting on?
Zungu is currently on a quarantine. So unfortunately we won't see Zungu for possibly another 10 days. So he arrived in the country, I'm not sure exactly, maybe 3 days ago. But obviously coming from France is a country where he has to quarantine for 2 weeks. So we've managed to get him some bikes and gym equipment to his a place where he's staying, and he will be quarantining for another 10 days, which is unfortunate, but that's just the rules.
Andy Newport, please.
Morning, Stephen. Alfredo obviously checked back into Glasgow last night after his spell away with Colombia. Just how difficult a task is that for him to come into a game as big as tomorrow's, having made that length of journey and only had the sort of short preparation time with the rest of the team?
Well, I think the whole team, the whole squad's only got a short preparation time because he's not the only one who arrived yesterday. We had maybe half a dozen who arrived yesterday. Alfredo arrived yesterday afternoon, unless you know something I don't know. Unless you know something I don't. But look, he's fine. He's available to train this morning. I'll have a chat with him and see where he's at. But we've still got to assess a handful of players who arrived yesterday. And that is the big challenge for both sets of players and both staffs, is that the preparation time is very unique, different and short. So we have to just manage and go with it.
David Edgar, please.
Morning, Stephen.
Morning.
How happy were you to see your midfielders in such great form for their international teams this week? Glenn Kamara, Ryan Jack with the man of the match performances, and of course Stephen Davis setting the Northern Irish caps record.
Yeah, I wasn't surprised because they're all fantastic players. It's the reason why I have so much faith and trust in the players that you've just mentioned. I think we arguably had the midfielder in form as well in the league in Scott Arfield, who thankfully doesn't go on international duty anymore, and we can keep an eye on him here and he can train with us. But you know, we've got 4 centre midfielders all in decent form now, which is great for me, and hopefully in a couple of weeks' time we'll have Zungu to add to that as well. We've got some time while he's on quarantine to try and get him up to speed and get some fitness into him as well, so we're looking forward to having him available as well.
Finally, Raman.
Hi, morning, Stephen. Stephen, just on the issue of fans again, we spoke to a number of players and managers this season. They're saying they've admitted that some of their players have struggled to create their own intensity because there are no fans out there. I just wonder how you think your players have managed to cope with that. Have they been more relaxed, or has it had a negative impact? And what impact do you think it has on a game like this, when so many players over the years have thrived on having fans to cheer them up?
I think all players will have a different opinion and view on it if you ask them all individually. My view is you judge them on the results, and I think our results so far have been pretty good. I think we've adapted really well. I've been happy with our start of the season. It could be slightly better, of course it could, if you look at certain results that we've had. But to manoeuvre our way into Europe again and find ourselves where we are going into the first Old Firm, I think it's a solid start, a consistent start. So I can only judge the players on what I see and the results that they give back, and so far they've adapted really well. I've been pleased with them.